Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters. Have you ever felt lost, unsure about which decision to make, or unable to sense the signs Allah places in your life? What if I told you that the key to unlocking clarity and guidance is not to seek more, but to stop holding on to habits that blind you? In the next few minutes, we will uncover 6 habits that quietly block Allah's guidance in your life, and how quitting them can open your heart and mind to divine direction. Stick with this message, because what you'll learn today could transform how you perceive your every step, every decision, and every opportunity. Have you ever noticed how life often feels chaotic, confusing, or uncertain, even when everything seems to be going right? Many people search endlessly for guidance, hoping for signs, looking for answers in advice, books, or the opinions of others. Yet, the most profound clarity often comes not from outside, but from within. And it begins with something so simple, so ordinary, yet so powerful, establishing a strong connection with Allah through prayer and remembrance. Neglecting this connection is one of the silent barriers that prevent a heart from feeling guidance clearly. Raya, or salah, is far more than a ritual. It is the lifeline between a servant and their creator. It is the moment when the heart steps away from distractions, away from noise and worries, and stands face to face with Allah. When we neglect prayer, even for a day, our spiritual sensitivity diminishes. It is like trying to see through a foggy window. The light is there, but it is dim, distorted, and unclear. The consistency of prayer trains the heart to recognize guidance, to sense the subtle signs that Allah places in our lives, and to make decisions with clarity rooted in divine wisdom rather than mere personal desire or confusion. Many people underestimate the power of remembrance, the act of dhikr, the quiet utterances of Allah's name, reflection upon His greatness, and mindfulness of His presence in every moment. These are not just words. They are like seeds planted in the heart. With consistent care, they grow into a tree of awareness, shade, and light that guides us through life's complexities. When a person neglects dhikr, it is like letting weeds grow over a garden. The beauty of guidance, the subtle feeling of peace and certainty, is choked out by distractions, worries, and the trivialities of daily life. It is important to understand that neglecting prayer and remembrance does not just affect our spiritual lives. It manifests in our daily decisions, our relationships, and even our mental and emotional well-being. When the heart is disconnected from Allah, decisions often feel heavy and confusing. One may constantly second-guess themselves, feel unfulfilled, or struggle with anxiety and doubt. In contrast, those who maintain their prayers and remember Allah frequently often report a clarity and calmness in their choices. A sense that even in the most difficult situations, they are being gently guided toward what is right. The Quran reminds us that guidance is a mercy from Allah, and it comes to hearts that are prepared, hearts that are attentive, and hearts that are open. When we neglect prayer, we are essentially turning away from the very tool that prepares our hearts to receive this mercy. Salah and dhikr purify the heart, sharpen our perception, and align our intentions with what is truly beneficial. It is not a coincidence that the Prophet, peace be upon him, emphasized consistency in prayer, even if small, because the regular practice strengthens the heart's ability to sense truth, right action, and divine guidance. Consider for a moment how subtle signs often come to us: a thought, an idea, a feeling of certainty about a decision, a warning in the form of discomfort or unease. These are not always dramatic. In fact, they are usually quiet and easily missed. A heart disconnected from prayer is like a radio that is out of tune. It cannot pick up the soft signals. By maintaining our connection through salah and remembrance, the heart is tuned to the frequency of divine guidance. The difference is remarkable. Choices become clearer, paths become illuminated, and the mind finds peace even in complex situations. Neglecting prayer also affects the soul in ways we may not immediately notice. It creates a subtle distance between us and the Creator, and this distance grows over time. Just as a muscle weakens when unused, the heart's ability to feel and recognize guidance diminishes when prayer is ignored. Conversely, regular prayer strengthens the spiritual senses, making a person more aware of opportunities, more cautious of dangers, and more inclined toward what is right. It trains patience, humility, and attentiveness, all qualities that make guidance easier to recognize and follow. Many people struggle with excuses: I'm too busy, I'll pray later, I'm tired, or I'll start again tomorrow. Yet, the beauty of Allah's guidance is that it is always available, waiting for a heart that reaches out with sincerity and consistency. By prioritizing prayer even amidst a busy life, we are essentially opening the door to clarity. Every missed prayer, every moment of neglect is a lost opportunity to refine our spiritual perception, to align our intentions, and to feel the quiet reassurance of Allah's presence guiding us step by step. Ultimately, neglecting prayer and remembrance is not just a habit, it is a block. It is the reason why many hearts feel restless, uncertain, and disconnected, despite all efforts to seek clarity elsewhere. Quitting this habit, or rather, embracing the discipline of prayer and constant remembrance, transforms the heart into a receptive vessel. It is then that one begins to notice subtle signs, feels certainty in decisions, and experiences a calm confidence that comes only from being in harmony with the one who knows what is best. So, if you truly want to feel Allah's guidance clearly in your life, the first step is not to search harder elsewhere, but to return consistently to prayer, to remember Him in every moment, and to let your heart be tuned to the frequency of divine wisdom. Only then can clarity, peace, and guidance truly become part of your everyday life. Have you ever noticed how a single careless word can create tension, mistrust, or even lasting damage in relationships? Many people think that backbiting or gossiping is harmless, just casual conversation, sharing what everyone knows, or venting frustrations about others. Yet this habit is one of the most subtle but powerful barriers to feeling Allah's guidance clearly. The moment we allow ourselves to speak ill of others behind their backs, we begin to darken our own hearts. Our spiritual vision becomes clouded, and the gentle whispers of divine guidance can no longer reach us with clarity. Backbiting is not just about the harm it causes to others, it is about the harm it causes to our own souls. Each negative word, each judgment passed in secrecy, plants a seed of negativity within the heart. Over time, these seeds grow into resentment, arrogance, and spiritual blindness. A heart that is occupied with the faults of others cannot focus on its own flaws, its own growth, or the subtle signs that Allah sends for guidance. In essence, gossip is like a heavy fog that settles over the heart, making it impossible to perceive the clear path that lies before us. Many people think that as long as they are not harming anyone directly, backbiting is acceptable. They may even rationalize it as a form of warning, sharing advice, or expressing concern. But the reality is that the act of speaking ill, judging, or spreading rumors, no matter how innocent it may seem, distances a person from divine guidance. Allah's wisdom reaches hearts that are pure, humble, and focused. When the heart is clouded with criticism or negativity, the light of insight struggles to penetrate. The Quran and Hadith emphasize the severity of this habit. It is described as one of the acts that stain the heart and diminish spiritual rewards. But more importantly, it creates a distraction from what truly matters, maintaining a sincere connection with Allah, being mindful of our actions, and developing inner clarity. A heart preoccupied with others' faults is too busy to notice the guidance that is constantly being offered. It misses the gentle nudges, the opportunities, and the reassurance that comes from a pure, attentive soul. Think for a moment about how gossip spreads in daily life. It starts with a casual remark, a small story shared in confidence, or a minor criticism passed along as truth. Over time, these small actions accumulate and create a habit. The habit then begins to influence perception. People start focusing on the faults of others instead of their own growth, and they begin to see the world through a lens of judgment and suspicion. This distorted lens not only affects relationships, but also blinds the heart to the subtle signs of guidance, the moments when intuition, peace, or clarity could have pointed the way. The effect of gossip on spiritual clarity is profound. When a person engages in backbiting, they experience a form of inner conflict. There is a tension between knowing that speaking ill is wrong and the temporary satisfaction it provides. This tension creates distraction, restlessness, and a sense of unease. As though the heart has been occupied with darkness, leaving no room for the light of guidance. In contrast, a heart free from gossip and negative speech is light, receptive, and capable of perceiving what is right and what is wrong, what is beneficial and what is harmful. Overcoming this habit requires mindfulness and sincerity. It begins with being conscious of every word spoken, reflecting on whether it harms others or distances oneself from Allah. It means pausing before speaking, choosing words that heal, uplift, and maintain integrity. When a person commits to avoiding gossip, they begin to notice an immediate transformation. Peace enters the heart, relationships improve, and the guidance that was once clouded starts to become clearer. The heart becomes sensitive to the signs, thoughts, and feelings that point toward the right decisions. It is also important to understand that avoiding gossip is not just a passive act. It is an active effort to purify the heart. When we stop focusing on the faults of others, we turn our attention inward. We examine our own actions, intentions, and shortcomings. This self-reflection creates humility, sincerity, and openness, qualities that attract guidance naturally. The heart becomes a clean mirror, capable of reflecting the light of Allah's wisdom. Imagine living a life where your heart is free from the chains of backbiting. Every interaction is purposeful. Every word spoken brings peace rather than conflict, and every decision is guided by clarity rather than confusion. This is the life that opens up when one abandons gossip. Guidance becomes tangible, almost like a gentle push in the right direction. Moments of certainty replacing doubt, and a sense of peace replacing restlessness. Ultimately, engaging in backbiting or gossip is more than just a social habit. It is a spiritual barrier. It steals the clarity of the heart, distorts perception, and blocks the subtle whispers of divine guidance. Quitting this habit is not merely a moral obligation. It is a pathway to spiritual clarity, inner peace, and a life aligned with Allah's wisdom. By focusing on purity of speech and intention, we open the door to receive guidance clearly, effortlessly, and continuously. The choice is ours: continue speaking ill, clouding our hearts and missing the signs, or abandon gossip, purify the heart, and experience a life where guidance flows naturally, decisions become clear, and every step is illuminated by the mercy and wisdom of Allah. Have you ever noticed how so many people feel restless even when their lives seem comfortable, wealthy, or full of possessions? There is a subtle emptiness that cannot be filled by material things, fleeting pleasures, or constant indulgence in worldly desires. Many of us chase after wealth, status, entertainment, or social approval, thinking that happiness and clarity will follow. Yet, ironically, it is this very obsession with worldly gains that blocks the heart from feeling Allah's guidance clearly. When the heart is overly attached to what is temporary, it loses sensitivity to what is eternal. Worldly desires are not inherently bad, they are natural. But overindulgence creates a barrier. Imagine trying to hear a soft whisper in a noisy room. The sound is there, but the noise drowns it out. Similarly, when the mind and heart are preoccupied with accumulating possessions, pursuing status, or seeking constant gratification, the subtle guidance from Allah becomes drowned out. It is no longer easily recognized, no longer clear, and often missed entirely. People often mistake busyness for productivity and consumption for fulfillment. They fill their days chasing careers, social events, or pleasures, thinking that more will bring satisfaction. Yet, despite the outward appearance or success, many feel an inner void, a constant sense of uncertainty or confusion about the right path. This is because the heart has been clouded with distractions. The more we overindulge in worldly desires, the less we can pause, reflect, and recognize the signs and guidance that are meant to lead us. The Quran frequently reminds us that this world is temporary and that true contentment comes from aligning the heart with Allah. When a person becomes obsessed with material gain, they begin to measure their worth by what they have, what they achieve, or how others perceive them. This creates an internal noise, a constant preoccupation that blocks the soft nudges of divine wisdom. The guidance that could bring clarity in decisions, peace in challenges, or insight in confusion remains hidden behind the clutter of desires. Overindulgence in worldly pleasures also has a subtle moral and spiritual impact. It makes the heart impatient, selfish, and often careless with ethical or spiritual responsibilities. A heart that is constantly chasing what is fleeting rarely stops to reflect on what is lasting. It becomes distracted from prayer, reflection, and mindfulness of Allah's presence. This distraction dulls spiritual sensitivity. Just as a tree cannot grow in a polluted environment, guidance cannot flourish in a heart consumed by temporary desires. Many people do not even realize that their worldly attachments are blocking guidance. They continue pursuing what they think is happiness, unaware that clarity comes from simplicity, focus, and the conscious removal of excess. When we overindulge, our attention is scattered, our focus is divided, and our inner compass becomes unreliable. Small but crucial signs that could guide decisions are overlooked because the heart is too occupied with accumulating, achieving, or satisfying desires. Breaking free from overindulgence requires awareness and intention. It is about recognizing what is truly beneficial versus what is merely temporary pleasure. It is about creating space in our lives for reflection, gratitude, and conscious connection with Allah. When a person reduces attachment to worldly distractions, they begin to notice clarity where once there was confusion. Decisions become easier, moral choices become obvious, and the heart starts to sense a gentle guidance that was previously drowned out by constant noise. Even small steps towards simplicity and moderation can create a profound shift. Deliberately slowing down, reflecting on what is meaningful, and prioritizing spiritual nourishment over endless pursuit of temporary satisfaction begins to open the heart. When the heart is free from excessive desires, it is as if a fog lifts. The soft guidance, subtle signs, and inner intuition become stronger, clearer, and undeniable. It is also important to understand that moderation in worldly matters is not deprivation. It is liberation. Liberation from the chains that bind us to the temporary, from the stress of endless chasing, and from the illusion that fulfillment comes from outside rather than inside. By reducing overindulgence, the heart becomes lighter, the mind sharper, and the soul more attuned to what truly matters. This attunement allows a person to feel the guidance of Allah in decisions, relationships, opportunities, and even in everyday moments that would have gone unnoticed before. Ultimately, overindulgence in worldly desires is not just a habit, it is a subtle thief of clarity. It distracts, clouds judgment, and blocks the perception of guidance that is always available. Quitting this habit, or rather moderating it, creates a life where the heart can perceive with precision, where peace replaces restlessness, and where guidance becomes natural rather than forced. A heart free from excess. Worldly attachment is a heart ready to receive light, direction, and wisdom in every aspect of life. The choice is clear: continue chasing the temporary and remain lost in confusion, or step back, simplify, moderate, and open your heart to the guidance that is patiently waiting to lead you to clarity, peace, and purpose. Have you ever noticed how anger can cloud judgment, make decisions difficult, and leave a lingering sense of unease in the heart? Persistent anger and resentment are not just emotional reactions. They are powerful barriers that block spiritual clarity and prevent a person from feeling Allah's guidance clearly. When the heart is dominated by anger, no matter how justified it may feel, it becomes heavy, restless, and closed off to subtle signs, gentle nudges, and the quiet whispers of divine wisdom. The more a person clings to resentment, the less space there is for clarity, peace, and true understanding. Anger in itself is a natural emotion. Everyone experiences it, and it serves as a signal when something is wrong. But the danger lies in letting anger linger, in holding on to grudges, or in allowing resentment to shape thoughts and actions. This persistent negativity weighs heavily on the heart, making it difficult to think clearly, make balanced decisions, or notice the guidance that Allah sends. A heart consumed by anger becomes a stormy sea, turbulent and unpredictable, incapable of receiving the calm light of insight. Many people are unaware of how much anger and resentment can cloud perception. When anger takes root, it colors every interaction, every thought, and even every decision. People begin to see the world through a lens of suspicion, irritation, or bitterness. They are quick to judge, slow to forgive, and constantly preoccupied with perceived wrongs. This mental and emotional noise creates a barrier between the individual and the subtle guidance that could otherwise illuminate their path. The soft feelings of certainty, intuition, and inner peace become difficult to access because the heart is preoccupied with past grievances or imagined injustices. The Quran and Hadith repeatedly highlight the importance of controlling anger and letting go of resentment. A heart free from persistent anger is one that is light, receptive, and capable of recognizing what is right and true. Anger clouds judgment and blinds the soul. It creates a desire for revenge, fosters jealousy, and promotes negativity. Even when one seeks guidance, the presence of anger prevents them from discerning it accurately, because the heart is focused on what is wrong rather than what is beneficial. Persistent resentment also has a physical and emotional impact. It leads to stress, anxiety, and restlessness, which further dulls the ability to reflect, contemplate, and perceive subtle guidance. A person burdened by anger is often reactive rather than reflective, making decisions based on emotional impulses rather than calm consideration. The signs and suggestions that could guide them are either ignored or misinterpreted because the heart is clouded with unresolved feelings. Overcoming anger and resentment requires awareness, patience, and self-discipline. It begins with recognizing the destructive impact of these emotions on both spiritual and daily life. Letting go does not mean ignoring injustice or pretending that harm did not occur. Rather, it means refusing to allow negative emotions to dominate the heart, distort perception, and block guidance. A heart that releases anger creates space for clarity, peace, and receptivity to divine wisdom. Forgiveness in particular is a powerful tool. By forgiving others, not because they necessarily deserve it, but to free the heart, one removes the heavy burden of resentment. This lightens the soul, allowing it to perceive guidance more clearly and respond with wisdom rather than reactivity. Gratitude, reflection, and seeking Allah's assistance in controlling emotions further strengthen the heart's ability to receive insight and make decisions aligned with truth. Persistent anger also undermines relationships, trust, and community. A person who carries resentment often reacts with hostility, suspicion, or judgment, which creates conflict and isolates them from others. This isolation further dulls spiritual awareness because divine guidance is often reflected through interactions, counsel, and the support of others. The more a person releases anger, the more open they become to receiving constructive guidance from people and from Allah alike. Consider how many opportunities, signs, or moments of clarity are missed because the heart is preoccupied with anger. A small incident, a misunderstanding, or a perceived insult can occupy the mind and heart for days, weeks, or even years. During this time, the quiet nudges of Allah, through inspiration, feelings of certainty, or signs in daily life, may go unnoticed. By learning to control anger and release resentment, the heart becomes like still water, reflecting light clearly and allowing guidance to enter unhindered. Ultimately, persistent anger and resentment are more than mere emotions. They are barriers to spiritual perception, mental clarity, and inner peace. Quitting these habits does not mean suppressing feelings temporarily. It means cultivating a heart that is light, patient, forgiving, and receptive. It is a conscious effort to remove the turbulence within, to create a calm space where divine guidance can be recognized and followed with certainty. The choice is profound. Continue holding on to anger, allowing resentment to cloud perception and block clarity, or release it. Purify the heart and experience Ali, where decisions are easier, relationships are healthier, and guidance flows naturally, clearly, and powerfully in every aspect of life. Have you ever felt lost, confused, or unsure about the right path in life, despite seeking advice, reading books, or listening to guidance from others? Often the clarity we crave is found not outside, but within the words of the Quran, the ultimate source of light, wisdom, and direction. Neglecting the Quran or failing to reflect upon its meanings is one of the most significant barriers to feeling Allah's guidance clearly. When we distance ourselves from its teachings, we deprive our hearts of a direct source of divine clarity, and our lives become vulnerable to doubt, confusion, and spiritual emptiness. The Quran is unlike any other book. It is not merely a collection of stories or instructions. It is a living guide for the heart, mind, and soul. Its verses are filled with wisdom, examples, and reflections that can illuminate even the most complex challenges of life. A heart that regularly engages with the Quran, that recites, contemplates, and applies its lessons, becomes like a polished mirror, capable of reflecting the light of Allah's guidance. On the other hand, neglecting it allows dust, distractions, and worldly concerns to accumulate, making the heart dull, restless, and insensitive to the subtle nudges of divine wisdom. Many people underestimate the power of reflection on the Quran. They may recite the words quickly, without pause, understanding, or personal application, thinking that mere repetition is sufficient. However, the true guidance comes when one contemplates the meanings, internalizes the lessons, and allows the verses to shape actions, decisions, and intentions. Neglecting this reflection creates a barrier because the heart no longer recognizes the gentle indications that point toward the right choice, the safe path, or the most beneficial action. The Quran addresses every aspect of life, from moral guidance and social conduct to personal development and spiritual growth. By neglecting it, a person deprives themselves of solutions to problems they may not even realize exist, of clarity in decisions, and of comfort in moments of doubt or hardship. The guidance of Allah is always present, but without engaging with the Quran, the heart remains closed to its wisdom. Just as a lamp cannot illuminate a room that is covered by dust, divine guidance cannot shine clearly in a heart that is distant from the Quran. Neglecting the Quran also leads to reliance on unreliable sources of guidance. People may turn to opinions, rumors, or personal desires to navigate life, rather than anchoring decisions in divine wisdom. This often results in confusion, regret, and frustration, because the guidance sought externally cannot match the perfection, clarity, and mercy found in the Quran. A heart that regularly reflects on its messages develops a keen sense of discernment. It begins to recognize right from wrong, truth from falsehood, and opportunity from danger, all through the illumination of Allah's words. Moreover, neglecting the Quran affects the spiritual, mental, and emotional well-being of a person. Without its reflection, hearts become restless, minds confused, and souls disconnected. People often find themselves repeating mistakes, feeling trapped in cycles of doubt or indecision, or struggling to make choices that align with true purpose. The Quran provides not only guidance but also reassurance, patience, and clarity. When neglected, the absence of this support leaves the heart vulnerable to uncertainty, stress, and misjudgment. Reflection upon the Quran is not merely intellectual, it is a deeply spiritual practice. It requires sincerity, openness, and a willingness to allow the verses to penetrate the heart and influence behavior. When a person truly reflects, the Quran speaks to their situation, answers their questions, and gently directs them toward what is right. This reflection cultivates awareness, mindfulness, and a profound sensitivity to guidance, making it easier to recognize the signs that Allah places in every moment of life. The transformative power of the Quran is evident when we look at the lives of those who consistently engage with it. Their hearts are calmer, their decisions clearer, and their inner sense of direction more accurate. Even in complex or uncertain circumstances, they experience a sense of certainty, peace, and alignment because the Quran has trained their hearts to perceive what is beneficial and recognize what is misleading. Neglecting this connection, however, leaves the heart untrained, vulnerable to confusion, and easily swayed by doubt or external influence. Ultimately, neglecting the Quran is more than just a missed religious duty. It is a missed opportunity to cultivate clarity, wisdom, and divine connection. Quitting this habit, or rather committing to regular recitation, reflection, and application, opens the heart to guidance in ways that nothing else can. It allows subtle signs, moments of insight, and feelings of certainty to become apparent, providing a roadmap for decisions, actions, and the overall direction of life. The choice is profound. Continue neglecting the Quran, leaving the heart clouded, restless, and disconnected from guidance, or dedicate time to its reflection, allowing the words of Allah to illuminate every decision, strengthen every intention, and create a life where guidance is clear, consistent, and deeply felt. A heart that engages with the Quran becomes a heart that can navigate life with confidence, clarity, and certainty, in full awareness of the wisdom and mirk of Allah. Have you ever noticed how one lie can lead to another, creating a web that traps the heart and clouds judgment? Habitual lying or deception is one of the most damaging habits a person can develop, not only morally and socially, but spiritually. When a person constantly distorts the truth, hides reality, or manipulates situations, their heart becomes hardened, their conscience dulled, and their ability to perceive guidance clearly is weakened. The heart that is accustomed to falsehood cannot easily recognize truth, including the subtle, gentle signs that Allah sends to guide us. Lying may begin as a small act, often justified in one's mind as harmless or necessary. A minor exaggeration, a small omission, or a white lie may seem inconsequential, but over time, these actions accumulate and form a habit. The danger is that the heart grows accustomed to deception, blurring the lines between right and wrong, honesty and falsehood. Spiritual perception depends on a pure, sincere heart. When the heart is tainted with lies, it becomes like a foggy mirror, incapable of reflecting the light of divine guidance. Deception has a profound effect on decision-making. A person who lies regularly begins to live in a world of illusions. They lose trust in themselves and others, struggle with internal conflicts, and may constantly doubt whether they are choosing correctly. The very sense of certainty, which is essential for recognizing Allah's guidance, becomes clouded because the inner compass is unreliable. The heart and mind are entangled in dishonesty, making it difficult to hear the soft whispers of intuition, the subtle nudges toward what is beneficial, or the warnings against what is harmful. Moreover, habitual lying affects not just the individual, but their relationships. Trust is eroded, communication is distorted, and connections with others weaken. Since guidance often comes through interactions, counsel, or opportunities, a person who deceives frequently may miss these signals entirely. The heart becomes isolated, defensive, and closed off, unable to receive guidance because it is constantly preoccupied with maintaining illusions or covering truths. In essence, deception builds walls around the heart, preventing light from entering. The spiritual impact of lying is deeply emphasized in the Quran and Hadith. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, warned against falsehood, highlighting that it corrupts the soul, disrupts relationships, and distances a person from Allah's mercy. Habitual dishonesty prevents the heart from developing sincerity, humility, and mindfulness, all qualities that are essential for perceiving guidance. Without truthfulness, the heart becomes blind to subtle signs, incapable of discernment, and confused about right and wrong. Overcoming the habit of lying requires sincere reflection and conscious effort. It begins with recognizing the destructive impact of deception on one's life, both spiritually and practically. It requires honesty with oneself, acknowledging past mistakes and committing to truthfulness in every word and action. This conscious shift is not merely a moral choice, it is a spiritual cleansing. The heart that embraces honesty becomes light, receptive, and open to guidance in ways that were previously impossible. Truthfulness cultivates clarity. A person who speaks and acts honestly is aligned internally, which allows for alignment externally with guidance. When the heart is free from deception, it can recognize opportunities, feel certainty in decisions, and experience inner peace. Subtle signs that were once missed become noticeable. Intuition becomes reliable, and divine wisdom begins to manifest in everyday life. Truth opens the door to guidance, whereas falsehood closes it. Habitual lying also creates internal tension and fear. The constant worry about being caught, exposed, or contradicted consumes mental and emotional energy. This tension distracts from reflection, contemplation, and spiritual growth, leaving the heart unable to focus on guidance. By quitting deception and committing to honesty, a person releases this burden, creating a heart and mind that are calm, clear, and capable of perceiving divine direction. Consider the long-term consequences of habitual dishonesty. A life built on lies becomes a life of uncertainty, stress, and confusion. Decisions are clouded, relationships are strained, and the heart grows disconnected from truth in all forms. In contrast, a life rooted in honesty is a life of freedom. The heart becomes like a still lake, reflecting light clearly, making it possible to discern what is right, what is beneficial, and what leads toward Allah's pleasure. Guidance flows naturally into the life of a truthful person because there are no inner contradictions, no hidden motives, and no clouded intentions to distort perception. Ultimately, habitual lying or deception is not just a bad habit. It is a spiritual barrier. It blocks clarity, diminishes awareness, and prevents the heart from experiencing the subtle transformative guidance of Allah. Quitting this habit is not just about moral correction. It is about opening the heart to light, peace, and certainty. The heart that embraces truthfulness is prepared to receive guidance clearly, feel it deeply, and act upon it decisively. The choice is clear: continue living in deception, allowing confusion, fear, and misjudgment to dominate life, or embrace honesty, purify the heart, and open yourself to a life where guidance is unmistakable. Decisions are aligned with truth, and every step is illuminated by Allah's wisdom and mercy. Have you ever felt lost, confused, or unsure about the right path in life, even when you are trying your best? Have you ever longed to feel a clear sense of direction, a certainty that what you are doing is truly right? But no matter what you do, that clarity never comes. The truth is, Allah's guidance is always available. But there are subtle habits we hold on to that block our hearts from recognizing it. These are habits so common that many of us do not even realize their impact. Yet, their presence keeps the heart clouded, restless, and distant from the light of guidance. In the next few minutes, we are going to uncover 6 habits that silently block Allah's guidance in your life. Habits that, if continued, make the heart heavy, the mind confused, and the soul restless. But here's the remarkable truth. Quitting these habits can open your heart in ways you never imagined. It will allow you to perceive guidance clearly, feel certainty in decisions, and experience peace that is beyond words. Stay with this message, because what you are about to learn could transform the way you think, the way you act, and the way you feel Allah's presence in every step of your life. By the end of this speech, you will understand exactly what to let go of, why it matters, and how freeing your heart from these habits will illuminate your path in ways you've never experienced before. Our life